All processes that attract a payment will have a system-generated invoice or invoices, as well as the accepted payment channels to be used. As such, you should not make any additional payments to facilitate the processing of your application. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ArdhiSasa tutorial on the lease preparation application resulting from a development control change of user process. A lease is a written legal contract outlining the terms and conditions under which a lessor, for instance the Kenyan government, accepts to let out a property to an individual or individuals or an entity for a specified period of time. Lease preparation is the final step of the process of development control applications, which include change and extension of user, subdivision and amalgamation, and extension of leases. The first step of the application involves getting county approvals. However, it's worth noting that at the time of this video's release, this is not being done on ArdhiSasa. Step 2 involves getting land administration approval for the development control process. This is done on the ArdhiSasa platform. Step 3 involves a survey of the parcel or parcels. Amalgamation and subdivision processes have an extra step where they get county recommendations before final approval. Up to this point, the developments that had been proposed are partially implemented, leading up to the lease preparation process. The output of this process is a lease document and a certificate of lease. Lease preparation involves the participation of various interested parties, that is, the applicant, the beneficiary or the beneficiaries, an advocate, and specific ministry officials during the processing of the application. It's worth noting that you don't need to be a professional to initiate this application. To begin with, you log into the platform. Key in your ArdhiSasa ID or national ID number, enter your password, and then click Continue. Upon doing so, you'll be provided with a one-time password code, an OTP, which will be sent to the phone number you used to register with on the platform. Once you have received the OTP, type the code onto the OTP prompt box and then click Login. You'll then be navigated to the dashboard, where you'll find a number of services listed under the departments we have in the State Department of Lands and Physical Planning. The process we are undertaking is under the Land Administration Department, so navigate to the Land Administration section and click on View More, and you'll find the application listed under the services offered in this department. Upon clicking on it, you'll be navigated to the applications page, and here there are a number of tabs provided. We have 5 tabs, namely Pending, Ongoing, Completed, Cancelled, and Rejected. All the applications that you have initiated will be listed among the tabs provided, depending on the level of processing of the application. The Pending tab features applications that you have initiated but have not completed. It or they still need some action from your side or from the parties involved in the application. The Ongoing tab features applications which you have submitted, and it's up to the ministry's side, through the relevant officials, to process the application. The Completed tab features applications which have been approved by the relevant ministry officials. The Cancelled tab features applications which have been cancelled by the applicant, possibly due to submission of erroneous information or incorrect documentation. The Rejected tab features applications that have been rejected by the ministry officials for one reason or another. The reasons for rejection will be communicated on the application. For you to initiate this application, you will click on the New Application button on the top right-hand corner. You will then be navigated to a page with FAQs, which is the frequently asked questions related to this process. You can go ahead and explore the FAQs to acquire knowledge on certain details that might be of interest to you before initiating this application. When you are satisfied with the FAQs, you can proceed and click on Next. The next section is on application details. Here, the first requirement will be to specify the application that prompted the preparation of the new leases. However, as you can see, it has already been pre-filled. As such, you can move on to the next field, where you'll enter the parcel number in question. So kindly do so in the format registry/block, then the block number, with no spacing between, / the parcel number. You'll also enter the approval letter reference number, as is featured on the Land Administration Approval Letter for the change of user process. If you have any additional information that might be of relevance to this application, you are free to input said information in the text box provided. Please note that you must input the information required in the fields with an asterisk sign alongside them, failure to which you will not be able to successfully submit your application. If you're satisfied with the details that you've provided in this section, you can go ahead and click on Next. You'll be navigated to the Documents page, where you'll be required to attach a copy of the Land Administration Approval Letter tied to this process. So go ahead and click on Choose File, and you'll be navigated to your local machine or device, where you'll upload the document required from the folder it is saved in, and the document will be listed against the Choose File button. You'll also be required to upload a scanned copy of the certificate of lease or title of the property in question, so kindly do so and the document will be listed. If you have any other documents which you feel will be relevant during the processing of your application, you can click on Additional Documents, type in the name of the document, upload the document by clicking on the Choose File button, and the document will be listed alongside the Choose File button. You can attach several documents in this section, one at a time. It is key to note that if the survey process prior to this application was done in the manual space, you'll be required to attach a scanned RIM amendment letter. On the other hand, if the survey process was done on ArdhiSasa, you'll be required to attach an authentication slip from the survey department. If you are content with the details you've provided in this section, you can go ahead and click on Next. The last section is the Verify Details section with all the details that you've provided. So go through the entire page and confirm the details. If satisfied with the information captured, you can go ahead and submit your application. You also have the option of going back if you need to edit any information. In our case, we'll proceed and click on Submit. Upon doing so, you'll be prompted to approve on whether you indeed want to submit the request, and then proceed and click on Yes. You'll then get a confirmation message on a pop-up box to affirm that the application has been created successfully, and then click on Close. You'll have been navigated to the application status page, and as you can see, this is the application that you've just submitted, so go ahead and click on View. At this point, an invoice for surrender fees payment has been generated on the Invoice tab of your account. As such, you'll be required to pay the mentioned fees, which is a sum of all the preliminary fees, that is, conveyancing fee, registration fee, and stamp duty fee, as is explained in the FAQ section. You'll thus click on the Pay button, and the available methods for payment will be provided, as well as the procedures to be used. Once the payment is made, click on the Confirm button as is featured on the bottom left-hand corner. Upon doing so, the status of payment will change from pending to complete. Your next step in this process will be to surrender your current title document. On submission of the application, a ticket and an invite are automatically created by the system in order to enable you to surrender the title. On one hand, an invite is created to enable you to book an appointment so that you can surrender the title at the registry. On the other hand, a ticket, as it concerns this application, exists to confirm that the registry has received the title you've surrendered once the ticket has been closed. To access the invite, navigate to the My Appointments tab on the left panel of your screen. Here, there are 4 distinct tabs provided. There's the Invitations tab, the Upcoming Appointments tab, the Past Appointments tab, and lastly, there's the Missed Appointments tab. The Invitations tab features a complete list of invitations that have been made to you by the different ministry officials for different issues that have been raised. The Upcoming Appointments tab features all the booked appointments that you're supposed to attend to. The Past Appointments tab features appointments that you've already attended to, and lastly, the Missed Appointments tab features the appointments which you did not show up for and thus are categorized as such. Our focus is going to be on the Invitations tab, and as you can see, an invite has been created. Click on View, and you'll be able to book an appointment on the calendar to your right. Select on the date that you'd like to surrender the title, and also select the time, and then click on Submit. A pop-up will appear requiring you to confirm whether you want to set the appointment, and then click on Yes. The invitation will then transition to the Upcoming Appointments tab. Click on the View button, and you'll be able to generate a gate pass, which will present at the gate in your quest to surrender the title. You also have the option of rescheduling in case the date and time you previously selected is no longer convenient for you. For more information on ticketing and appointments in general, click on the featured link in the video description to view our tutorial on it. So after you submitted your title and the ticket has been closed, the Submit Request button will be active, and once you click on it, you'll be prompted to approve on whether you want to submit the request, then click on Yes, and the application will transition to the Ongoing tab, meaning that it has been forwarded to the ministry for processing. A key thing to note is that you can view the progress level of your application as is featured on the progress bar on top of your screen to track the progress of your application as it goes through various stages in processing. The application will be received by the Land Administration Department for processing, and they will forward it for valuation where applicable, after which you'll be required to make rent payments for the newly determined rent. However, it is worth noting that freehold parcels do not go through valuation. After the property in question has been valued by the Ministry's Valuation Department, an invoice for payment of new grant fees will be generated to your account, and you'll receive a notification both on SMS as well as on email prompting you to settle said invoice. As such, you'll duly navigate to the specific application on your account, and on the Invoice tab, you'll see the stated fee to be paid for the property in question. When you click on View, you'll be able to see a cumulative summary of the constituent fees, which includes stamp duty fee, registration fee, the annual rent, conveyancing fee, and convenience fee. Kindly navigate back to the Invoice tab, click on the Pay button, and you'll be provided with the available methods for payment as well as the procedures to be used. Once the payment is made, the status of payment will change from pending to complete. Subsequently, you'll also be required to enter the beneficiary details for the property, so you'll navigate to the tab labeled Releases, click on the View button on the featured property, and you'll be navigated to the desired page. On the beneficiary details section, you'll first select the type of ownership, which could either be sole proprietorship, joint proprietorship, or proprietorship in common. In this case, we'll go with sole proprietorship. You'll also need to confirm whether or not the beneficiary appears on the approval letter. If you select No, meaning that the beneficiary does not appear on the approval letter, you'll be required to select the grounds for change of beneficiary. The options highlight various scenarios that lead up to the determination of the beneficiary. They include a letter of administration for deceased proprietors that had no will, a grant of will for deceased proprietors that had a will, or court order, where there is a court order directing the Director of Land Administration to prepare a lease in the name of said beneficiary. In each scenario, you'll be required to upload a supporting document, for instance, a grant of letters of administration, a grant of probate, or a court order document, respectively. However, in our case, the beneficiary does appear on the approval letter, and thus we'll go with the Yes option. Additionally, you'll also enter the ArdhiSasa ID of the beneficiary, and as you can see, the field has an asterisk sign alongside it. This means the beneficiary must be registered on ArdhiSasa at the time of initiating this application. Lastly, you'll select the ownership rights of the beneficiary, which could either be a proprietor, an administrator, a trustee, a liquidator, or a trustee in bankruptcy. We'll go with the proprietor option and then click on the Add Beneficiary button. Upon doing so, the beneficiary details will be populated underneath. In case you made an erroneous entry or selection, you can click on the Remove button on the far right and enter the details once more. If you're satisfied with the details captured, you can click on Next, and you'll be navigated to the Attach File section. Here, you'll be required to attach additional documents, if any, which you feel will support the processing of this application. To do so, just type in the name of said document, click on Choose File, and you'll be navigated to your local machine or device, whereby you'll upload the document you've prepared, and the document will be listed against the Choose File button. If you're satisfied with the details and documents that you've submitted, you can proceed and click on Submit. You'll then be prompted to affirm whether you want to submit the request. Click on Yes. You'll then get a confirmation message on a pop-up box that your application has been updated, and then click on Close. At this point, the application needs to return to the ministry for further processing. As such, kindly click on the Process button to effect this action. When the list has been approved by the ministry and the particulars therein have been drafted, you'll get a notification on SMS as well as on email prompting you to add your preferred advocate to execute on the application. This is the point that the application moves forward for registration. You'll navigate to the application in question on your account, navigate to the Leases tab, click on the View button next to the parcel listed, and you'll be presented with the application details for the specific parcel. Here, you'll first be required to add the person to execute as the beneficiary. When you click on the button in question, a pop-up box will appear requiring you to select the person to execute as the beneficiary. It could either be the individual executing for themselves or an attorney executing on behalf of the individual. In the event you choose the attorney option, you'll be required to enter the power of attorney entry number in the format registry /the entry number /the month of registration /the year of registration, and then click on search, and the attorney as well as their ArdhiSasa ID will be populated underneath. All the registered POAs have been digitized to adopt a uniform naming system. In order to confirm the system reference to a POA number you are using, have a conversation with the customer care agents through the chatbot on the platform, and they will send you a system reference number to the registered POA. In this case, we'll be going with the self option, meaning that the beneficiary is executing for themselves, and then click on the Save button. Upon doing so, the details of the beneficiary, as well as the person executing on behalf of the beneficiary, will be listed. Having done that, an Add Advocate button will have automatically appeared on the top right corner of your screen, and upon clicking on it, you'll be required to enter the ArdhiSasa ID of the particular advocate who will act for the beneficiary. Kindly do so and then click on Search, and you'll get a message at the bottom of the search box requesting you to click on the Add button in case the stated advocate is indeed the one you intend to add. So you'll go ahead and click on it, and upon doing so, you'll get a confirmation message that the advocate has been added successfully. After successfully adding the preferred advocate, they'll get a notification not only on their accounts but also on email and SMS stating that you've added them as an executor on the application in question, and thus they'll need to access the application on their accounts and not only accept representation but also append their signature. As such, it is key to note that you, the applicant, must be in communication with the advocate in question throughout the execution process for ease of operations. When the advocate logs in, the account they're logged in as is their private account. In order to execute in the application, they will need to switch to their advocate account. So they'll do so by clicking on the profile icon. It will display a drop-down menu with the professional account which has been approved for them as an advocate. They'll switch to the advocate account and then proceed with their role in this process. For more information on account upgrades, check out our YouTube tutorial on the same through the link featured in the video description. The advocate will navigate to the application in question on the Land Administration Department section, and they will find it on the Pending tab. Upon clicking on View, they'll be navigated to the application details page. On the Representation section, the individual will be required to choose to either accept or reject to represent the party or parties listed. If they choose not to represent the party or parties, they can click on Reject, and the parties will get a notification that the advocate has declined to represent, and they will have an option of selecting or adding another advocate to represent them. In our case, the advocate will choose to represent all of the parties listed. The advocate will then navigate to the Add Signature section, where they'll be required to append their signature. There are a number of options on how to do so. To begin with, there's the signing area here, as you can see, which allows them to sign with their computer mouse if they're using a desktop or a laptop, and alternatively, with a stylus pen or their index finger if they're using a phone or tablet to access the platform. There's the other option of signing with another device. Upon clicking on this option, a pop-up box will appear displaying the 4 alternative options for signing. For more information on the available signing options on ArdhiSasa, kindly view our YouTube tutorial explaining the same, through the link featured above the signing area or in the video description. In this case, the advocate will sign on the signing area. They will place the mouse cursor on the signing area, press and hold the left click button, and then go ahead and append their signature. If satisfied, they can click on Save. However, if not pleased with it, there's the option of removing it by clicking on Clear and then appending their signature once again to their liking. There's a pop-up notification that will appear requiring them to affirm the submission of the signature. They'll click on Yes. Once the advocate has accepted representation and signed, the person or persons to execute for the beneficiary is required to execute on the application as well. The individual will get a notification communicating the same, not only on their accounts, but also on email and SMS. Upon accessing the application on their account, they'll navigate to the Add Signature section and append their signature either by signing on the signing area provided or signing with another device using the 4 aforementioned options. In our case, we'll sign on the signing area and then click on Save. After the beneficiary has executed on the application, a Submit Registration button will appear on the application details page of each of the involved parties, which enables either of them to submit the application to the Land Registration Department for processing. In this scenario, the advocate involved will take up the role of doing so. As such, when the advocate accesses the application in question, they'll find the Submit Registration button on the top right corner of the screen, and upon clicking on it, they'll receive a confirmation message on a pop-up box affirming the submission of the application. From here on out, the application will be forwarded to the registration department for checking and verifying of the details therein before printing a registered lease document and a certificate of lease. When the application is concluded, the advocate involved will be contacted and given details on where and when to pick up the mentioned documents. That's it for this ArdhiSasa tutorial on the lease preparation application resulting from a change of user process. Feel free to give feedback on this tutorial in the comment section below. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell button alongside the subscribe button to get notifications on new videos as and when we post them. Kindly follow us on our social media handles as well. That is at ArdhiSasa_KE on Twitter and Instagram, and at ArdhiSasa on Facebook. Thanks for watching and goodbye.